on the flip side of the ball, that defense in the first 3 quarters and into the start of the fourth quarter, I think was arguably one of the better defenses against a quality opponent that we've seen from Florida State in a while. And then, you had that kind of the point where you're up 2 scores and then it goes into the prevent defense kind of thing, which I've never been a fan of, but that's what Florida State has done. And this has been a thing we've talked about for seasons. This has been going on since probably the 2015 season. Get a decent lead and then go into prevent and all of a sudden wonder why you only win by 5 points. But let's focus on the good for a second. Talk about that defense, what we saw in the first 3 quarters, first 3.5 quarters, what we saw from that Florida State defense.
Did anybody hear really Renardo Green's name throughout the night? Although other than his big hit that he had, did anybody hear about Renardo? There's a good thing that we didn't talk about Renardo Green because didn't have to. Renardo Green did what he did. That's cornerback 1 for FSU. I know there's been a lot of talk about Marion Cooper, but this is Renardo Green's secondary now, at least at the corner position. I thought that he played well. He's a guy that has fought through adversity and has gone through injuries, and now with him fully healthy, yeah, sign me up. Sign me up for Renardo Green. I think he played well. And then going at the safety position, I thought Akeem Dent's PBU there in the end zone was damn impressive. And, he didn't want to talk about it a whole ton today after practice because today's practice wasn't so great, like Mike Norvell said. But I thought those 2 guys, at least on the secondary, impressed me, and then the entire linebacker unit, except for a few plays. Overall, you take that any day of the week, how Deloach and Tatum Bethune played. That's exactly this linebacker room. And I was questioning this room with Randy Shannon for a little while, and it's a different kind of coaching style that he has during practices, James. But it works. It works. And, I mean, he'll get on to you, yeah, but he's very lenient to let them learn on their own. And so
it's no discipline. You can go on and say it. It's just cat ball.
You can learn on your own.
Yeah, I got cats. This is what you're going to do. Go to the spirit of the play. And that's what you see. But it's actually free. And it's fun to watch when it's working. And it ain't fun to watch when you're getting picked apart. Because I always tell people who keep asking for Fuller to be replaced by Randy Shannon, you got to remember, Randy Shannon's kryptonite was the same kryptonite that killed Mickey Andrews. Neither can stop the spread. So, I mean, why would we want a guy who can't stop the spread in a situation where everybody runs the spread? But I honestly think – I just think people hate Fuller, man, and refuse to really look at what this man did. It took 45 yards in penalties to get them the score that put them in range. And to be honest with you, it wasn't Mike Norvell's – it wasn't really Fuller's fault that they drove down 99 yards to score. They should have never been in that position to have to do it. Like that's why they call it sudden change drills. A turnover literally gives you the momentum of the game. All the holding penalties. I mean, now granted, you never want the referees to dictate the game for you, but I think if he calls that game against 70% of this schedule, they don't even get to that point. But I think what happened more so is that our offense kind of stalled out and didn't really. I talked about it last season, and I told the guys this before. Sometimes you just need one more score. Really, one more score, and it takes the will out of your opponent. It doesn't have to be a 7. It could be 3. But if you would have got one more score, it completely changes the trajectory of what that game is. But when you have guys who are supposed to be as highly vaulted like Booty, played like Booty, and didn't what did he have? He had 2 catches for 20 yards. Supposed to be a first-round draft pick. The running back was non-existent outside of the touchdown. I don't think they had anybody over 70 yards receiving. They really made the quarterback play check down ball. Like, that's everything you really ask for from a D coordinator. You just got to be able, in today's game, which we did, you got to be able to score. You got to score more than the other team, and you got to slow the other offense down. I think Fuller did a great job outside of letting them come back. I mean, but I think if we would have been able to kick a field goal when we were up 24-17, the game is over. They'll be under a minute left with them getting the ball back. It is damn near impossible to have 2 scores under a minute.
Yeah, LSU's leading receiver had 46 yards in the game. That was LSU's top receiver in the game.
So I mean, like when you look at it just from a statistical standpoint, that is they played and what did they have? So was it 3 sacks that Verse had or 2 sacks?
Verse had 2 sacks, I believe.
All right, because one stat put 3, and I was like, I didn't see.
Yeah, I saw that earlier the other day. Yeah,
but so he had 2 sacks. He was the only one with 7. I mean, love it. I mean, they were getting pressure in the backfield. I would say this. Oh man, it's a great saying, but I can't say it on your show about what the defensive line when they're doing that to the O line. But it's PG-13. But they were penetrating deep, and they were just getting after it, and it's just that quarterback is that elusive and that agile to where he can move around. But luckily, they weren't getting rid of the ball at 2.3 seconds.